Happy Friday and TGIF. It's Friday Fraud Law Review. And of course, it's always dedicated to our deployed military members who can't be at home like most of us can be. So, anybody wants to join me in thinking about them today and definitely giving them a little prayer, please do so. So, the thing we have to report on today is this came out just the other day, September 26th. And I know they did something recently also where they were reporting on prior weaknesses in the SSA system. This is the Office of Inspector General of the SSA reporting about itself, not really its office, but the SSA overall. And they've been endeavoring to find out where are all these weaknesses? Why is the administration not really being run very well? So they've been doing a lot on that in the last several months. And this particular finding, as reported by the OIG, on there, it's publicly available to everybody. The title of it is Weaknesses Found in the Social Security Administration's Handling of Personal Information Losses. So I'm just going to do the rundown for you. I guess they released an audit report that reveals those weaknesses. It's weaknesses in the agency's response to losses of American citizens' personal information. Apparently, between 2019 and 2023, SSA employees reported nearly 24,000 incidents of lost or compromised PII, personally identifying information, through the SSA's legacy reporting tool. So 24,000 incidents were reported by presumably diligent SSA employees at that time. The OIG review of this found a few different things, including 658 PII losses were not recorded properly. Over 2,500 reports were left without a risk level assignment. Resolved loss reports stayed open an average of nearly 2 years. So those were unresolved. Only 3% of sampled reports were referred to the OIG, and 27% that should have been referred were not. Okay. SSA, they say, must respond appropriately, of course, when any information that contains PII leaves the SSA's custody or is disclosed to an unauthorized party to minimize the risk of harm to the American people. I wish they gave us some juice about the specifics of some of these improperly accessed, I suppose, PII. They go on to say, and this is the acting inspector general, Michelle Anderson, the SSA must ensure that every potential PII breach is promptly assessed and referred to the Office of Inspector General as appropriate. Anything less puts the privacy and security of the individuals SSA serves at risk, and that would be many of you guys out there. But it's more than just people seeking or on Social Security disability or retirement or an auxiliary benefit of one of those. It really, if you think about it, guys, it affects every single person who's working and paying Social Security taxes. Or I would go so far as to say even someone who's not but has a Social Security number. I mean, you could be in college or something and you're not working and paying taxes right now into the Social Security system. You could be a stay-at-home parent raising babies and not putting in, but your Social Security number's there, as is all the years prior that you paid in. So all those records of your historical payments in, which is the record that's going to get you your retirement amount, and it's going to decide whether you're even eligible for retirement. Did you work enough? It also tells whether or not you worked recently enough, should you become disabled, to be able to file a claim for Social Security disability. Presumably, it also puts SSI individuals at risk as well, since they generally need Social Security numbers, even though they don't have Social Security insured status, whether it's because they never worked at all or they worked, but it was, a long time ago, so that they can't draw on disability because they don't have the recency test made. But we have to have worked recently enough to a certain level in order to be still insured for the term insurance of Social Security disability. They go on to say that the SSA updated its policies and procedures during the audit, but the agency can do more. The report makes 3 key recommendations to the SSA. Review and address the 658 improperly recorded PII losses. Evaluate the effectiveness of the processes and controls recently implemented and implement any necessary changes. So, as you know, we've reported a few times some great enhancements to the system that SSA has done in the last, 6 months to protect information. One of them was the recent one of you can't just call in to change your own purported banking information to change your direct deposit because fraudulent callers were calling in that had just enough information to convince the person on the other end in the SSA that they were you, and they would direct your funds, your monthly paycheck, to a different bank account. So now it has to be where you go through your SSA online account and do it yourself because you're the only one that has the password and all that stuff and the probably two-factor authentication to get into your online account. So that's how they can really eliminate the fooling of a phone answer at the field office or even at the 1-800 number, presumably. The other recommendation that the OIG is making to the SSA overall is to update the breach response plan. Breach response plan, would that be BRP? To make referral requirements to the OIG clear. So I guess, there's outstanding then losses of PII to actual individuals that has not been addressed. So they're, in a sense, I feel like they are trying to make right where they dropped the ball on the individuals. And at least you have to stop curb the blood flow, stitch the wound, prevent it from continuing to happen to that person by getting to the bottom of those 658 that were not apparently, if they weren't recorded properly, I can't believe they were addressed properly. And probably the perpetrators are out there doing it again. So I think that's what they're getting at. Like you can't let any not be addressed one way or the other. So, all right, that was it for today. It wasn't a fraud by a bad actor per se, like we normally have in the prosecution thereof or the conviction or the sentencing. It was a report from the OIG in the same list where we give them all, but this one was the one they put out for the 26th. So I thought I'd share it with you. And next week, I'm sure we'll be back on to some ne'er-do-well who decide to rip off the workers of America. And also the welfare funds is often another one they steal from, which is to the detriment of our vulnerable people who are in need of that gift of welfare from the tax-paying individuals who actually support that fund. So anywho, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend and be safe and be well. Bye-bye. Hello again. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was helpful, if not just a little bit informative. In the event you have a Social Security question you want addressed, please feel free to make a comment below and ask the question, even if nothing to do with this particular video. And just a quick, again, reminder, we have our daily video shares and tips around noon every day of the week. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have our live Q&A session where you can come in live and enter your questions in the chat. And we all pretty much have a good time for an hour or two. I look forward to seeing you there, hopefully. And lastly, don't forget about our benefactor memberships. They're very reasonably priced. The first one is very nominal and you get a few perks, but on a bigger scale, it contributes to us being able to fulfill a mission of assisting certain people with representation that would otherwise not be able to get it. We look forward to continuing to do that. And so far it's working out like the bomb. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Bye-bye now.